I want to say, I think this is probably the best Drake has ever rapped. On this EP, I think it might be that.
I think that might be true. I think I might be there with you on this.
Right.
I got it. One thing. This is what I think we thought For All the Dogs was going to be like.
Yeah.
I think content wise, especially when we heard For All the Dogs, we thought we were going to get some of these bars for sure. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and smash that like button. Of course, subscribe to us. We are joined by His Royal Highness, like we are every single week, and this time
With the crown,
King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're back, Album Mode. We're also here with our esteemed producer, Agent Zero, Patient Zero, Chris, and we are back with Drake again. Mm-hmm. It's only been like 2 months, a month and a half,
maybe less than a
month,
yeah.
And For All the Dogs, Scary Hours Edition, or just Scary Hours 3. Are you Scary Hours Edition or Scary Hours 3?
Just Scary Hours 3.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't got to do all that.
I know. I don't feel like maybe for the streams he did it that way, but to pretty much every single person I've seen, talked to, read about, it's Scary Hours 3. Mm-hmm. And Drake he's blessed us. I feel blessed this time.
I feel blessed this time.
Last time I felt like I was quizzical of the blessing. I'm like, what exactly is happening here? But this time I feel as though the gold is raining from the sky. We're getting tons. We're just like dancing in the rain, bro. This is crazy.
They said that Drake's Scary Hours is like his bat signal. That's what people have been saying. I think that's pretty funny. But I want to go back to at least the past Scary Hours because this is a trilogy. They said Good Things Come in Threes. The first Scary Hours, do you remember the songs that were on the first one? This is in 2018.
Something like, no, I was going to say Scary Hours 2. God's Plan.
Yep. God's Plan. Diplomatic Immunity.
Yes, Diplomatic Immunity
was the other one.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think God's Plan was Drake's biggest song at that moment. Like, obviously huge for him. And to think that he hadn't really had, Billboard success, before that was kind of interesting because he had been killing on the rap charts.
Yeah.
One Dance was his first number one. God's Plan, he just put on the level.
Yeah.
Then we get Scary Hours 2.
Yeah.
And Scary Hours 2 was where the record breaking continued. All three of those songs debuted at number 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
What's Next with Lil Baby was on there. Wants and Needs was on there. And then Lemon Pepper Freestyle, Rick Ross. Yeah. So he has a lot to live up to. When you put Scary Hours on something, what we've dealt with in the past, it's like, we're going up to something.
Yep.
But this time it was actually a deluxe, which we haven't seen Drake do since 2013. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was interesting because Drake literally has that line where he says, I don't need a deluxe. But here he is.
Here he is dropping the deluxe.
With the deluxe. What do you make of that? Because it's first one in 10 years. And, it's kind of a little bit of a flex that he hasn't done that because even the biggest artists have done deluxes.
Yeah. I think that the idea that he doesn't do deluxes is I think is a good thing ultimately for your discography, because most people, when we're talking about legacy discography, what songs are on the album, they don't consider the deluxe. Nobody talks about.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah, nobody's talking about the Beyonce deluxe songs, or even I don't even know if Jay-Z's does deluxe songs. Probably for the Black album, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, the deluxe songs are not considered. They're not legacy wise considered. Discography wise, they're kind of discounted. They don't even usually when people drop a deluxe, usually doesn't get reviewed.
No,
right?
At least not by us.
Right. So that's why I kind of appreciate not doing the deluxes, because it's more of a legacy thing. Mm-hmm. That's understanding your legacy. The songs that are on the album are on the album. The deluxe is kind of just behind this, not even behind the scenes, deleted scenes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They're deleted scenes that on DVDs. But so I appreciate it. I appreciate the legacy play. It is a legacy play. I would say that.
And I think too, 6 songs. It really reminds me of what Tyler did with "Call Me When You Get Lost."
Yeah.
When he put out his deluxe. That I feel like how a deluxe should be done. Give us a good amount of songs and make it kind of a moment where we want to go and hear that. I actually prefer when they do it as a whole different project.
Me too.
That's what I prefer. I had the choice. It's like you could even tell us this was from that same session, but we didn't make the cut. That's fine. But just have it separately, I think, works better for me.
This wasn't the case though with this. He said allegedly, he is just like, it's been like 2 weeks, and I'm just like wrote all these in 2 weeks, and I just put them down. I just laid the tracks. That's what he said.
There's some signs of that. There's some signs of that in terms of some of the lyrics on here.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So you could, I would say that's true. Yeah, coming from the words of him. But I do rather it be separate. But I think in terms of like chart history, I don't think he could do that. You know, I think he if anything doesn't go number one, that is really gonna kind of mess with his mojo, and we don't want that. So I think lyrically there are some signs that it was recorded in the past 2 weeks. Now, of course, we got Pusha T. The vinyl here, and for obvious reasons. But
shame on you.
I kind of went back. This is probably if you're considering this a full project on its own, Scary Hours 3, this is the most rap Drake has had in a project since Comeback Season. And so I went back in time, and I went back to Comeback Season, and I listened to, when Drake was really, really a rapper, because this rapping Drake, as much as people are begging for it, we want it, rapping Drake isn't what's popular. The kind of raps that Drake does, those artists are not the biggest artists. And so that's kind of what he came back to on this project. Comeback Season is actually a little more of that, but who Drake actually raps like is Pusha T. Now it's even more than it was before, but you listen to Comeback Season, the way he enunciates, the way he tries to hit those punches, very, very Pusha T. I say they're two of the most clear to understand rappers in all of hip hop.
Okay, yeah.
And if you kind of, he has a song with Malice on there, but if you hear the way he's rapping, you could tell there's an influence there. And then, on this Scary Hours 3, I was like, it's even more obvious to me because he has had like more things happen to him than since Comeback Season. Like Comeback Season, Drake is like, I'm ready to take the world over. You guys aren't ready for me. This Drake is like, y'all done broke my heart 1,000,000 times. Yeah. All y'all lying about me. Yep. I'm going to kill every last one of you. Yep. I got the keys to the safe. Everything. So it is more Pusha where it's like Drake is like in a sinister bag. Yeah. On this whole project. We're gonna get to lyrics where there's more of that. But to me, like that was the eye-opening thing I've noticed is like, he said it before. Pusha T's one of his idols, like who he looks up to. But to think all these years later that like he's doing almost a better Pusha T impression, right, is pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy that you even said that. To be honest, I don't think I've ever equated Drake and Pusha T in my eyes. I guess that the topics that they rap about, I guess it never computed.
Yeah. That's the huge difference.
It never computed for me. But I do remember when we were talking about Amine? Yeah. And we were like, he actually is like Pusha T's son in the way that they rap. So maybe I need to go back and refer back to the text.
Refer back to the text.
And try to see whether or not this thing has any water. Because I've never really thought about it that way. I think because they're at such odds, you would never really come across that. Or I wouldn't come across that. You have clearly come across that.
I think this project put me back into my rap nerd bag. And it's like when you're watching a game and you're like, oh, that bounce pass was just exquisite. Yeah. And you're like, oh, look at the drop step. That's where I was with this project.
Angel's been watching Jokic highlights. That's what that is.
100%. And that's where I got with this album because this is Drake rapping, of course. Huge deal. Love to see Drake rap. But aside from the content, the style of rapping is very more the underground. And, we've heard Drake, I think about something like Daylight that's on for all the dogs. That is what we're used to from Drake, which is very much not the underground sound. Like, that's not him. But if you think of a song like The Shoe Fits, The Shoe Fits sounds much more like Griselda than Lil Baby, And I think we've all forgotten that's kind of where Drake lives is from. Like, coming up, it was Little Brother, Pusha T.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he was into. So it's interesting to see he's really gone back there, on this project because this is what we've asked for.
Yeah.
But now that I hear him actually give it to us, I actually more realize why he doesn't do this. Even though I want this, I think I realize why he doesn't do this. Hearing it now, but I'm happy it's here.
I am actually genuinely surprised. This is the first time. Usually I'm saying the crazy stuff and you're like, what the fuck? And I feel like it's the total opposite now. I feel
That's
like
so funny.
This is what okay, first of all, this like boom bap, return to original form of hip hop, et cetera, is what people have been, I would say, again, we classify them as rap niggas.
Yeah.
Been dying for. They've been dying for this.
100%.
Right? They have been dying for like, I just would love just a straight Drake rap album, just like 10 songs, 7 songs, whatever. Just straight bars. I would kill for that. Give me some little Alchemist. Give me some, maybe even a Hit Boy. Maybe, Conductor.
Drake and Derringer, let's do it.
That's what they've been asking for.
Yeah.
Right? And if you, like any person that's part of hip-hop Twitter, hip-hop TikTok, any of that shit, you've been seeing that for years now.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm happy to see it.
Yes.
Right? Because finally these motherfuckers are going to shut the fuck up. I just need that off. I just need that off my timeline, bro. The amount of times I've heard people just like, man, why doesn't Drake doesn't have, Drake doesn't have bars, he doesn't do this, do that. I'm just like, there, fine.
You got it.
There you go, you got 6 straight songs, 6 straight songs, sorry.
Yeah.
It's indisputable. I think on the very last song, he sings 2 lines.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. It's mostly, a lot of songs don't have a chorus.
Yeah. He's doing no hook songs. Okay?
Yeah.
He's doing every single thing you guys asked for. So you guys can shut up, please, because I'm so tired of it. I'm so fucking tired of it.
Let's talk about the song that does have a hook.
Yeah.
The Shoe Fits.
I love this song. This is probably maybe my favorite song.
Okay.
Maybe my favorite song, but go ahead.
I think this is one thing about Drake lyrically is that, it kind of occurred to me Drake is about to be 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like, we know that there's older rappers and we think about that older generation, but Drake is about to be, still have the kids on lock, but literally, 40 years old. And what you have is this kind of like grown man living in the internet era. Yeah. And as much as, on For All the Dogs, we said it a little bit, it was a big talk online of Drake has to change his content, you know? Stop talking about fucking 25-year-olds, go buy some art. That was the tone. And I think Drake does a good job of really like encapsulating like all these online conversations and ideas we have, because he's kind of the perfect person for that. He's very active online, very popular online. He's a joke online to a lot of people. And as well, he's kind of living these online things in a different way, because so much of this verse to me is like, this is only happening in like, the 2020s, 2010s time. This is not something that was happening 15 years ago. On verse 1, he says, to all the super triggered women talking down on me, relax, drink some water, act like you somebody daughter. Can't get a tan from your phone light, baby, it's late June. Open the blinds, get out the shade room. Maybe you could stop getting involved in some shit when you're not involved. And you could go for a walk somewhere that is not a mall. What's your baby's shoe size? You can tell by the laces they tight. Or you only focus on the steps that I'm taking in life. Then you got the ones who claim a guy that's everyone's nigga. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Him even saying, all you super trigger women talking.
Yeah.
We were not using the word triggered like that when Drake's career started. That's first. That's first and foremost. Then you can't get a tan from your phone light. That's a bar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a bar. A shot to the shade room. We had a private conversation. We talked about how we are both not
at all. We're not. I think I blocked the shade room. I'm so serious. I'm dead ass. I'm pretty sure the shade room is blocked on any social. I haven't seen anything from it.
The last time I would live in that life was in the World Star era, which I know some of you guys are way too young for. But that once I stopped going to worldstarhiphop.com, all of that was done.
Yeah.
So even like I talk about it's the times of the internet is like the shade room is like, who knows what the shade room will be 10, 15 years from now. But for those who lives in this time, we know what the shade room signifies.
Yeah.
We know the kind of person he's talking about, who this woman is spending all her time on the shade room.
Yeah.
So that's like a huge, huge shot. And then,
deserved. Deserved shot.
No, 100% deserved. But the verse as a whole really is taking a shot at this like Instagram dating DM culture that we have. You know?
Oh wait, hold on. Before we even get there, because I want to dig further in this part, is where it's like this part that we were talking about is like Drake is somebody who said before like about like he's had conversations with his mom where he said like, if anything happens, take 2 days. She's like, I think it was like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And if it doesn't upset you by the end of the 48th hour, let it go. You know what I mean? And Drake, I feel like takes that to heart because I feel I've seen recently a video of him shooting in like his gym. Yeah. And he even quoted one of his memes. He's like, Drake's the type of guy to say like, geez Louise, you know? Yeah. So Drake sees it all. He does. And he gets it. I feel like it does. I feel like it doesn't bother him anymore. It probably did at the beginning. Yeah. And he's able to like, bro, he's able to say like, you guys need to get the fuck off the phone. Like actually live your actual life. Yeah. I think that part where he's talking about, you know, your son's like shoes.
Oh my gosh.
Where like they're tight.
They're too tight.
That is just like, that's a tough, like, it's hard to even verbalize what that
yeah, like that's like I'll say it like this. Yeah. There are so many ways in hip hop that men have tried to disrespect women that they were dealing with at one time, they're upset with. For him to come at the baby's shoes being too tight. Yeah. And what are you focused on? Yeah.
That's a crazy bar. But I respect this in the lyrical sense. I have not heard anybody say some shit like that before. Facts. So for him to get to that space is great. I think that this EP or deluxe, whatever you want to call it, Scary Artist 3, is just an exhibition for people that are doubters of Drake's like lyrical ability. Yeah. I feel like that has always been brought into question his entire career. And he finally, like I said, he did what people wanted and he's like showing like, you know, before I would, you know, when I say people, I'm like, oh, nobody said something like this before. I'm usually talking about Tyler, the Creator or some shit like that. Somebody that's like way out of the, not way out, but like a step left or right of the mainstream. Drake is the mainstream. Drake is the mainstream. Yes. Right? So for
doesn't get more mainstream than Drake.
Yeah. So for him to be saying something that I've genuinely never heard somebody diss somebody else with or by is pretty crazy to me.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Man. He's been in the game for like 10 plus years and he's still coming out with new snipes. That's crazy. Like that's amazing.
Yeah. Drake, this whole verse to me, here's the part. It shows Drake's like level of like dissing someone. Or that part afterwards where he says, "Your nigga is not even a starting QB." You know, it's like I don't care. He's an NFL player. He don't even start. Like I'm Drake. You know, like that's like such a unique diss of like he's beneath me, like in so many ways. Yeah.
She said he's taking a snipe at Taylor Swift. I can't believe it. I'm just kidding.
That would be crazy. Okay. That would be crazy.
He actually respects Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he did say that.
He says like the only nigga I moved the album for is for Taylor Swift.
100%.
That's respect.
No, that's like she's made it. You know, like. But this song as a whole, I want to talk about the end, the James Harden bar. What did you think of that when you heard it? Because he's obviously mentioned people before on songs, or even insinuated that someone is someone. But this is like, he's not only saying James Harden name. That's like the punchline of the song. Yeah. Like, how did you feel about that?
I thought that was funny. To me, it's funny because I think that Drake definitely knows James Harden.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely knows James Harden. So it's not like he said that and he's like, oh my God, what's James Harden gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, it was like almost like a joke, right? It's the storytelling of the song. I think that this situation has probably happened to Drake.
For sure.
But with James Harden, probably not. It was probably somebody else who was using James Harden just because, again, if you know somebody, you can kind of make that.
I wouldn't doubt that it was James Harden.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it was James Harden as well.
James Harden is known to be a sniper on and off the court.
Yes, exactly. Right. So for it to be James Harden is believable. Also, you know, it's kind of like metaphor. It could be just any NBA starting player. You know what I mean? So I thought it was funny. To me, it's funny. I do think Drake is a funny rapper.
Yeah, for sure. He has this ability with his lyrics. So like, one, it's because I think he's so clear and enunciates very well. But he has this ability where he kind of makes you feel like you're watching the story on your own, or you're a part of the story on your own. And then as a community, we come together and talk about it online. But that's what this was. Is like everyone heard that last line of the song and was like, "Oh, James Harden," you know. And so it's like he was able to like set that up properly, where it's like, okay, we all caught it, you know. And that's the thing about this song, especially, is like there's all these lines that like we all caught. Yeah, there's not that many lines in here where it's like over the head, didn't know what that meant, like. And that's the skill of his writing is like, yeah, like this is for you to understand, like. I'm not writing this just for Démar and Adriel to get it, and the rest of y'all are clueless, you know? And then he has this line in there, I'm not, you know, an astrology guy, but I wanted to give a shout out to all the people who are. He said, you know you can't control a Gemini. That's facts. I don't know anything about what it means to be a Gemini, but let's just put that in the air.
I'm a born and bred Libra, thank you.
Yeah, apparently Libras are good. So,
but yeah, I like that part too. I think that some other snipes in this, I'm just gonna rattle them off. Where he's like, she settled for an NBA star that's through playin. Instead, she got a nigga fan that's 2K.
Yep. And
then there was that section about you got 5 dudes, you know, 5 dudes with the bottle.
That was a bar.
Do you have that one up? Like that part where he was like, we're talking about 5 dudes with the one bottle. That was
Batty's not the only one worried about striking a pose. You ordering 1 bottle split between 5 of the bros.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, Drake. I think we talked about this on the original review for All the Dogs. Drake is literally one of the richest people in the history of hip hop. So he kind of just like any type of you're broke bars are just coming with an extra smack. No, but I feel like he just suplexed people off of like off of the steel cage, came with a suplex. It was crazy. I mean, like, those are your fans.
No one makes you feel more broke than Drake. Yeah. I always say, like, because Drake's not only, he's dissing other people who are rich, which is crazy. Yeah. But he's dissing like the very regular person who's like, they save up to do something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he'll diss that person, which is like, who does that? Well, the rapper, you know, it's like, you know, dissing the regular person is like, yeah, your car broke down and it affected you. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very Drake thing to do. I want to know this, okay? Drake has been the king of one-liners. Like, so many quotables that just stick in. You don't even know what song they're from, and they just come into your head. This album, this project, Scary Hours 3, has a lot of them. Do you have a favorite? I got 2 that come to mind. When Drake said, I'm always on thin ice with a thick bitch, I said, oh my God, this guy's Drake, me too. Shut up. So I really, really like that one. And then I think it might have been on If the Shoe Fits. When he has that line at the end where he said, you know, she's sucking dick on Cam. Yeah. And then in between, he's like, not Miss Independent. Not Miss Independent. Had me. So those are my 2. Thin ice with a thick bitch and not Miss Independent. What are yours? And I want to know, everyone who's listening and watching, like, what are your favorite one-liners from the Drake project? Right. I think it's also on The Shoe Fits, and I feel like we're over-indexing on this song, but I do think that I think that is actually probably the best song. Okay. Because I feel like he just like came for literally everybody and everything. And I don't even know if that one has a hook? I don't even think that one has a hook. The Shoe Fits, I think, has a hook. Right? So, but it's very minimal. Any of the hooks are minimal. That's one of the reasons, like, all the ladies wondering why Drake can't rap like the same old guy. Yeah, so, and then he's like, I don't know how anymore. And I have something else to say about that. Again, this is my favorite. Yeah, this is my favorite song. But I think where he says, this part right here, I have it written down, where he's like,
Acting acting Hulk tough, but you only turn green because your neck is gold plated.
Drake.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I don't even wear jewelry like that. And I fell her off of that. That was crazy. I think it's crazy in the way where it's just like he in that entire section he carries like that color green where he's like, you people are, you say where he talks about people being jaded, right? He's like, you boys, becoming detectives ain't in no trench coats. I would never guess you niggas is this crazy. She took Dick in Ibiza. You turned to Dick Tracy.
Oh, yeah.
You niggas jaded, acting Hulk tough, but you only turn green because your neck is gold plated. Right? And then she sold for, NBA dude. But that continuation of the green, right? Like the jealousy, green, jaded, gold plated, then the green neck. Is great, but that one line about the green neck and the Hulk, oh my god! So this is Drake at his I want to say, I think this is probably the best Drake has ever rapped, on this EP. I think it might be that.
I think that might be true. I think I might be there with you on this.
Right.
I got it. One thing. This is what I think we thought For All the Dogs was going to be like.
Yeah.
I think content wise, especially when we heard For All the Dogs. We thought we were gonna get some of these bars for sure. Wickman, that's a huge fan favorite.
You think so? Did you? I was gonna say, let's do quickly. Did you like the production for that song?
I actually did. I think that's one of the production standouts. I can't remember what song it sounds like to me, but this was the song. Honestly, when I said the thing about how everyone wants this from Drake, and I understand why he doesn't do it. This is the song.
Yeah, okay.
Like this kind of raps is like no one's going number one with this. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like these like this kind of production, these kind of raps is like for sure. Like there's a time where this was like the big blog era. You wanted to hear this kind of music, but this like the rappers who are the most popular, Lil Babies, Moneybagg Yo's, like they're not. No one. Not saying no one wants to hear this, but like. A very small group really wants to hear this. So
they're small but loud, very loud.
Yeah, and
extremely loud.
So that's why I'm like, even though I love that song, like for example, my brother hadn't heard the project. I played that song for him. He lost his mind just hearing the beat, and then once he heard what Drake was saying, he was like, "This is insane," But he is more of a hip hop fan. He wants to hear the raps.
Yeah.
And so this song is to me how the song ages or grows is the test. I think the other songs on here production wise are kind of more what we're used to when we think of like boom bap or kind of this like gritty sound. This Wickman sound is like it's all over the place.
Yeah, but remember that album on YouTube that I told you was a remix? It sounds like that.
Yes, it does sound like that.
It sounds like this could have been I told you, I've been saying, I'm like, if Drake went in that direction, it would just be like brain melting. Yeah. Right? So for him to see him organically get to this point, to actually get in that space where it's like the best way to describe it, or my visual when I listen to this song, and then we can go back to the lyrics. I wanted to just talk about the production for it real quick, was that it feels, that music video he has where he's like dressed in all white and he's like standing, I think it's like in Way Too Sexy, but it was like a parody.
Oh, yes.
If he was like wearing all white and he was like standing on like, almost like a purgatory type of like space where it's just like blue and there's like constant clouds flying past him. That's what the imagery generates in my mind. I'm like, why isn't he just doing more of that shit?
Yeah, this hits. Yeah, like there should be more of this.
Yeah. So what did he say that got you to stop and be like, yo, I gotta write this down on Wickman? Because I totally sidetracked you talking about the production.
This line's been going around a lot. This will be my last set of lyrics because we do got some other things to talk about. But the thing about white America say I'm becoming a threat. Oh, Black America love to remind you what mama look like. If I ever fucking forget, I'm never enough. Now, I haven't heard this talk, in a while about Drake. He's not wrong. There was a time that this definitely was a thing. But I here's why I wanted to highlight it, because I think he's right in this sense. J. Cole gets kind of like the most flack of any of these mixed rappers for like being quote unquote too white, not hood enough, whatever it is. And I think of two rappers. I think of someone like Central C. I think of someone like J. Cole. And two very different rappers, but the conversation is just not that with either of them.
Right.
You know, and I don't know what Drake did to get the conversation to be about him in this way. He's not the first mixed rapper.
Yeah.
But it's almost a little Yachty-esque where it's like, this is not happening anymore as much as I'm seeing, at least. But you are valid in this being a gripe because, you know, J. Cole is peer right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
How often do we hear that about J. Cole?
Yeah.
Basically never.
Yeah.
But with Drake, it's, you know, it used to be a big topic.
Yeah, I think that this is like the only lyric I didn't like on the entire project because I'm like, I was just thinking as though I don't think that it's as prominent as a conversation as I think it is. Mm-hmm. I think that in the past, yes, it was. Especially during the George Floyd, you know, like protests and stuff like that. That was definitely like, how come everybody is out here except for Drake? Yeah. Right? That was a legitimate thing. And I think earlier in his career as well. But you eventually, you just grow older and you're just, you know, a person. Right? Yeah. Like people stop, not that people stop expecting things from you, but they recognize who you are. And they're like, okay, you know, we leave that person and they be who they be. And I think that's kind of where Drake is. I don't think anybody's asking for Drake's social commentary on anything.
Yeah, I think we're past that. I hope we're past that, right? But I think we're past that.
And this just the line of like, you know, white America thinks I'm a threat.
They do not.
They do not think that. Nobody thinks that. Not a single person on planet Earth views Drake as a threat in that sense. Yeah. If Drake is rolling up on you with like 16 like security dudes, then I think Drake's a threat.
Different kind of threat.
Right? But on a day-to-day basis, you know, Drake is, you know, drinking a milkshake. I'm not like Drake is like, oh my God.
Drinking a milkshake is crazy.
I'm not, Drake is not a menace to society, you know?
I got a couple production things that I really wanted to highlight. The one last thing about this whole Drake being black enough thing, you may have brought this up in one of our past episodes about how Drake's not being celebrated as like a black artist is this successful. That's where I think this comes from. Okay. Because I think that, you know, Drake is what the most successful black artist we've had in the past how many years?
Yeah, him and Beyonce.
You know, I would say he's a degree above Beyonce in terms of success. So it's like, he's not, the way we treat Beyonce as like she's our black queen, celebrate her. Yeah. He doesn't get that same treatment. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately. Me neither. But I can understand him being upset about that because he's not the white king. Yeah. So it's like, you know, he's almost without a home in that sense. Yeah.
Well, I think that he painted himself into a corner justly or unjustly, whether or not, because first of all, remember, this is a conversation we had off the pod about black masculinity, right? Where Drake is not trying to be tough, not trying to prove he's tough, not trying to flex on people, not trying to punch people in the club, except he's gotten to a fight in the club before. But he's not trying to be that type of dude, right? So the people that would be like, oh, Drake's the greatest, et cetera, those people are not really praising him for that, claiming him for that. No. And then Drake's early music and like mid-career music captured a lot of women, right? But women's voice in like hip-hop community or hip-hop spheres I could say diminished compared to what men say. Yeah. Like if you think about who the leaders in conversation, even on this podcast, two black guys.
No, black men are the gatekeepers of hip-hop, right? For sure.
So he's not getting, so even if he is getting that praise, that sound in the community is diminished just because of sexism, right? And then now he's gone to a point where he's actually a little bit at odds with the women in his fan base, I would say. So he's not getting that acclaim regardless. So he's just not getting that acclaim.
It's kind of a tough spot to be so popular but not have the acclaim. Yeah. When everyone does recognize you are talented and one of the best. It's an odd spot to be in.
Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, he's the best, I guess. You know?
Yeah, best, I guess.
Yeah, it's like with reticence. Instead of like, instead of being like, he's the best, they're like, he's the best, I guess.
Technically. I actually disagree with you on one thing. I think you said The Shoe Fits. You feel like it's the best song on here. I think the best song on here is You Broke My Heart. I think it's has the most streams of any song on here by a decent margin.
That was the most mainstream one, though. But that's why.
But here's why I think "You Broke My Heart" is the best song. Two things: production wise, those horns.
Yeah,
it reminds me of "Laugh Now, Cry Later."
Yeah,
Trophies.
Yep.
Drake has like a horn pack.
Yeah, he does.
In the hard drive. He's like, whenever we need one, I go to this. This is the first like horn pack he's gone to where the content has been this. Mm-hmm. This content is more for like, a slow song from Drake.
Yeah.
This content is more for like Fire and Desire Part 2. That's what this content is more. So for him to match up the content of the slow Drake with the horns of a Trophies Drake, that marriage I think is like kind of undeniable in a sense. And it's no question the song is big for a reason.
Yeah.
Fuck My Ex is like.
Yeah, Fuck My Ex. Drake is doing some singing on it.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple lines. But I think that's the best song to me. I think, not my favorite song personally, but I think just like that song. We talk about having a song on the album where it's like, this is undeniable, this is the hit. Mm-hmm. This is on here. Yeah. And this is probably the one song of all these I'm like, this should have been on the project. I think this is the one song I'm like, this should have been on Fat D. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Fat D. I agree though. I do agree that it should have been on the project. It could have even been on Her Loss, to be honest. I think it would have fit. I think that it's the most mainstream one though. Yes. It's the most, it's got the trap drums. Everything else is like Conductor or Alchemist produced it, bro. So it's not, it's like 1990s boom bap, 2000s boom bap, or even just it's new age boom bap. Yeah. Because like those rising vocals on Red Button, they weren't really doing that in 1993. No. You know what I mean? It mixes, the new style of sampling with, the boom bap style. So I think that, You Broke My Heart, fine. If you want to stream that one, most fine. Now you're the hipster. I'm the hipster. I wore the glasses today. Okay, I'm digging in the crates. I'm looking at the credit sheet, all that shit. I think that it's good though. Yeah, but I definitely felt like I know you because you were. It's the thing. It really is a whole different energy from the rest of the project. It's like, okay, we're done now. But because it's such a triumphant song, it's kind of like, okay, now that we're mad at every man, woman, and child that pissed us off over the past how many years, let's end it with Fuck My Ex. Yeah. And even more, it's like, if you look at Scary Hours as a full project, that's a good outro. Yeah. And Red Button is a good intro. Yes, it is. And to me, I think Red Button's a better intro than Virginia Beach. So it's like, I guess he did these afterwards and, it's very different, but so much of me hearing this project, because I'm like, if he had these songs when For All the Dogs came out, there's a whole different project. Yes. If you even make this one and kind of take out the fat, you have a really good project with these 6 added to the mix. But Red Button has a better intro than Virginia Beach. I think we got to talk about that because this Red Button is the perfect intro to this. Yeah. It's not the best. It's not that crazy. Yeah, it's not Tuscan Leather. But it's enough to be like, okay, what we're getting into because he goes, straight the whole song. Yeah. And production. No hook. I love No Hook Drake. No Hook Drake is the best. It reminds me kind of BB King freestyle with him and Wayne. Oh, yeah. And one thing that's on this album, and Overcast does this, Conductor does this, is that on trying to trap hip hop, which we have right now, when the beat goes out and it comes back in, it's the bass that leads. Yeah. But on a lot of these, it's the snare that leads. And that is very much of like, okay, we're in a whole different bag. And it's like, it will still have the cutout, Drake will rap, the beat will stop, but when the beat comes back, it's the snare that comes in first. And there's a few songs where he does it, but that once I saw that happen more often, I was like, he's really here in this, this bag of, we're not gonna do traditional, regular trap hip hop right now. Yeah. So when I noticed that the first couple of songs and it kept happening, I was like, okay, the whole album's going to be like this. And I liked that. Yeah, me too. And I think that I feel like he minimized a lot of like, if you really just pay attention to the production, or if you actually just listen to the songs, but try not to like think about too analytically, you'll see that Drake's voice is actually the most prominent thing in the music, right? Whereas most hip hop, the 808s or whatever, the production is usually the most prominent thing. His voice is like the driving force for a lot of it. Even when it comes to like
stories about my brother, right? It's like, it's got the more like, New York style of horns, but he is the person that is like really leading it. I feel like everything else is kind of, following in behind him. So I think that Drake has always had good command of this lounge sound.
Yes.
Low key, since Views, right? Where it kind of had a more of a lounge aspect, more like New York lounge. Right,
Yeah.
New York lounge.
It reminds me a lot of So Far Gone.
Yeah,
like that's kind of where some of this.
This is old Drake. See what we're comparing it to?
It is. This is actually old Drake.
Yeah.
This is actually old Drake.
So I think that this is a good step when it comes to production. I think I'm trying to think of my favorite produced track.
Yeah, let's hear that before we talk about the album as a whole.
Yeah, I think maybe Red Button.
Really?
Just because I'm really in love with those vocals in the background that are really drawing out, and like it has the drums, the snares, right? You're talking about, but those are sparse. So much of the music has barely. I feel like the production is
bare.
Yeah,
it's bare. Because Red Button is the song I think the most where they allow that space for him to rap with no drums.
Yeah,
like that happens the most in Red Button. So I get that. For me, it's Evil Ways, and it's kind of the same thing you said. The sample, the voice in the background, I'm really into that on Evil Ways. But Evil Ways is to me the most basic out of all these. Like Evil Ways, maybe not in the 90s because of the prominence of the sample in this, but just the drums at least are very much the old style.
Yeah,
so,
he met him I feel like he met J. Cole in the middle with the off season.
Yes.
Yeah, with doing that. Because I felt like it felt like an off season song actually.
Yeah.
And it just like, seems like Drake and J. Cole
are cool now.
Yeah, they're having a little bit of a moment, a little lovey-dovey moment right now because I see
J. Cole got an album coming, man.
J. Cole, he's appearing on Drake's album, he's appearing on the tour. Then Drake is like, in like the past like month since the album came out, it's like, hey, come back, let's do another track together. They have multiple tracks in the past together.
And I think they have a track on J. Cole's album, is a rumor.
So there's a little, good for them. Happy for them.
Yeah. Evil Ways sounds like it could have been off the warm-up. That's the place where it would have came from. This project as a whole, 6 songs, Scary Hours 3, cohesiveness is on 10.
Yes, it is.
I think even You Broke My Heart as the outro fits. Like he doesn't leave the rapping. The content changes. It is more singy. It is more triumphant instead of kind of dark and gray. But to me, the cohesiveness on this is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think, this goes back to my most like ardent criticism of Drake is that it's too sprawling. He always used to always consistently drops these 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 song projects. And then it becomes like this disaster of like, everybody's trying to pick out songs to make their own album.
Yeah.
Right? But the best version of Drake is actually the most concise versions. You think about So Far Gone, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this, it's too late. And now the Scary Hours projects.
Yeah.
Those are all his best works. And those are all the works that are like 15 songs, 13 songs, 2 songs.
15 has to be his cap.
15, like I think if you're reading this, or no, sorry, Nothing Was the Same, I think it's 15.
Yeah.
If you're reading this, it was like 13, right? Then Scary Hours was 2 songs. Scary Hours 2 was 3 songs.
Yeah.
Then this is 6 songs, right? Like, it's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious. You just look at your best work, it's all short.
It started with Views, which, to be fair, Views was his biggest commercial success by a mile at that point. Like, he reached places he never got. But I'm with you. The concise Drake is
the best version of him.
Is the best Drake.
And it's like, I feel like he's fighting it every single day. Like, I feel like every day he feels like the album is coming out. He's like, this is my album. It must be massive because I'm massive. It has to be massive every time. Where
we don't gotta do that.
Where you don't have to do that. Where you just look at your best, like just think of your best work, the most memorable stuff. I guess the most memorable stuff to him are the hit songs, and the hit songs come on the albums, right? But the most memorable projects are the short ones, right?
Yeah.
Which are the EPs, the mixtapes, the 2-pack, the 3-pack. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just needs to condense it, bro. Just make it, because you know what's going to happen with Scary Hours 3? People are going to play the shit out of it, right? 24/7 people are going to be playing this. It's going to be like, you know, the equivalent of an album because everybody's going to be listening to it. So that's my biggest criticism of Drake is this like this insane sprawling album when it's so obvious that
it's very obvious.
It's so obvious if you just make it smaller, it will be better.
I think if you think about what this means for his career, I don't think we even know the answer to that yet because we've never seen him do something like this before. We've been asking forever for this rap, you know, project. And I think If You're Reading This Is Too Late was the closest he got to that. And then What a Time to Be Alive, of course, is a lot of that as well. But this is more like the Drake rapping we know. You know, like this is more of like where Drake comes from, how he started rapping.
Right.
So I think this is good for his career as a whole. Like, you know, he's like, this is great for his career. This is maybe the best move he's made.
Yes, I agree.
In years.
I agree.
In years. But what it means for his career, I'm not sure because he said he's gonna go away for a while.
I know.
That seemed like a huge lie. Maybe that's still true.
Yeah, I was a story of my brothers is like, you know, I went to the studio and they said, I thought you were going on vacation. It's like, I'm going back and then I'm going back on vacation, you know?
Ridiculous. And the other thing too is, obviously the rollout for this was a little different. You know, when we came in, our producer Chris didn't even know this had dropped. So it is not the same rollout as the past projects. But the key will be to see how these grow and how these chart. Because I told you, I realized from this album, like, I actually finally get now why Drake is not making music like this all the time. Right. Because none of his hits are at all like this. You know, like, even when you think about the last Scary Hours and what went like big is like the song with Lil Baby was the one that went off. There's nothing like that on here. And before that, it was God's Plan, which nothing like that on here. Yeah. You know, and God's Plan and Wants and Wants and Needs with Lil Baby? Are so different. They're so different in how they are like sonically, but neither of them are like this. Right. And so it's like we haven't seen this kind of music be commercially viable yet. As much as Kendrick has done his thing, J. Cole's done his thing. Yeah. You know, Griselda is on the come up. We haven't seen this, you know, conductor production go top 10. We haven't. So if that happens with some of this music, then we're in for something. Yeah. Because as big as Drake is, we've never seen someone really make it happen like that. So if Drake can, that's a good sign because maybe he'll continue to give us some more of this. Yeah. Because if this was the tone of the album, the score would be a little different. Yeah. Score a little different.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. I think it's the best thing he's for career-wise. I think here's the thing. Drake's mainstream career versus like hip-hop community career, I feel like those are two different things. Like for his hip-hop credibility, notoriety, everything, this is probably the best thing that's happened to his career in a while. Yes. Right? On a mainstream sense, this is probably going to be one of the biggest duds in his discography. Right? Actually, it's because it's a deluxe, so the album is gonna be
it's rumored to re-enter number one
because it's a deluxe. Yes,
right? But if this was an
EP, if it was an EP alone, we'd be looking at something very weird.
You know what's crazy? I think it would do better because the drawback of this project is that when you loop it, it goes back to Virginia Beach. Yeah, that is the issue. That's true. Yeah, that really is the issue. Like if You Broke My Heart went right back into Red Button. Come on, how much time is it?
Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Because you know what? I'm wrong on that. Because you know what? I think of something different. Something else I've said before, and I guess it's coming to fruition, right? Is where I said Drake needs to pick a direction. Yes. Right? He picked a direction. We're doing 6 rap songs, hard bars, no singing, except from the last song when I sing a little bit. But straight bars. Yeah. And, you know, as soon as he goes in one direction, immediately everybody's going to listen to it, right? Everybody's going to listen to it. And because it's concise, it's actually going to be good, right? Yeah. This is what I feel like this, for me, Scary Hours 3, is everything I've been saying He just did it one time for me.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't care if it had to be rap specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It could have just been like, a sonic style or something like that. Just pick one and go with it. But he did it in rap. And then I'm like, see, look what I said. Look what I said. Make it concise. Pick a direction. Right?
Success.
And then switch up the sound. Because the sound is different.
Yeah.
The sound is different, right? Like there's a different, like you never really heard Drake do this consistently where we're doing boom bap or like conductor, alchemist beats, bro.
Yeah.
So put all those things together, then we're like, oh my God, this is actually amazing. Who knew Drake still had gas left in the tank? It's incredible. This is fourth prime. Is he like LeBron? Like this is the same shit that's happening again.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like that.
Right. So that's where it is with me. I'm just like, I think it's good for his career in the hip hop space, mainstream space. I don't know if it matters.
I think we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to wait and see because as I listened, as I told you, I came clear to me and I said, this is why he doesn't do this. And so will that change? Or will this just be a one-off? Like, okay,
I did the thing, here you go, and I'm going to go back to doing my regular shit,
Because I do think that, Drake has separated himself from a lot of his peers.
Me too.
Musically.
Except for J. Cole. He's just been pulling J. Cole with him.
J. Cole is side by side with him. But I also feel like Drake as a rapper still has that ability, not just as an artist. And so this album project, EP, double disc, deluxe, showed that, And so that's what I'm thinking of going forward is like, will another big artist attempt something like this? Because here's the truth. If J. Cole did something like this or Kendrick did something like this, would we react the same way? I'm sure we would like it.
Yeah.
But if Kendrick dropped, 6 songs on, Alchemist Conductor production, how would we feel about it? How would that go?
Yeah.
And so it's like, even though Drake is the pop guy out of the group, he's the one who's kind of went to the underground. So interested to see it. Let's say Scary Hours is on its own vinyl, okay? Yeah. 6 songs on its own vinyl, 3 on each side. Are you getting that vinyl?
Yes, because I want to hear the Drake raps. I feel like we dug into one of the songs so much, but there's so many other. I just want to hear them in succession. I do think that this, like, you can just play it. This would only be one side of a vinyl, by the way.
No, for sure.
Which I have a little bit of an issue with paying like like full money for.
The only way is if they just do it old school and just have instrumentals on the back.
I would be down for that.
That I would be down with, yeah.
I would be down for that.
But if they try and finesse us with a 3-3,
no, that's crazy. Come on now, let's be serious, people. Let's be serious. If it did have the instrumentals on the back, that would be sick.
Yeah.
And if he wanted to, make it very hip hop, he would do that. Is he gonna do that?
Drake?
I don't know. We want our cut.
Yeah.
we want our cut on that idea. Yeah, so I will if it does get released on its own vinyl form, yes. If it's part of the other album, I don't think so.
No, I'm with you exactly the same way. If it's on its own, sign me up. If I gotta hear 29 songs,
please.
Are you out your monkey ass mind?
Make it stop.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Last but not least, the cover. The cover, if you compare it to all the dogs cover, it's kind of like All the Dogs is more sinister. This is, a couple angels. More angelic. Similar color schemes to actually Her Loss.
Yeah.
But I actually like this cover.
Me too.
I like this cover a lot. This is almost like a redo in a sense, because it is a redo in a sense, because it's like, making it deluxe, this will be the cover people will see a lot of. I don't know if more, because For All the Dogs that cover was a big deal, but you got to redo, man.
Yeah.
Take your shot.
I guess so. I agree. I like it a lot too. I think that the colors look fantastic. I think it's very simple. And also I feel like it kind of stands out in Drake's discography. He doesn't really do covers like that. Not like this, This seems like something you would see Playboi Carti doing, or Destroy Lonely. Like it's a more opium aesthetic.
Yes.
Drake is tapped in with opium though. Drake knows everything.
Yes.
Drake knows everything that's happening. He's very tapped in. So I do like the cover. Now, the moment of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Adriel, your score.
Scary Hours 3.
Yeah.
By Drake. For this EP, we're calling it.
Yeah.
I'm giving this a 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think this is, like you said, the album, the project we've been waiting for from Drake. I really had to go back, listen to Comeback Season.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is where we would want Drake to end up. Comeback Season still is a little more upbeat than this.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the raps on here.
Yeah.
I love the production on here. I think the cohesiveness of this project is A1. I would give the cohesiveness a 10 out of 10 because this has like a listen all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. Even with that 6-minute song in the middle, which, usually we would be annoyed by. No problem.
Yeah.
All the way through. And then You Broke My Heart at the end. Come on. That, like, You Broke My Heart is a smash.
Right.
It's an absolute smash. Like, for You Broke My Heart to have almost 3 million more plays than Evil Ways with him and J. Cole, we got to do the math on how much of a smash that is, So, Scary Hours 3, it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Wow.
Again, if you just take the same energy, everything, and just gave us 12 instead of 6, this could be like
Album of the year
worthy for sure.
Pretty easily.
So it's like, I'll give this EP of the year,
Over Sprinter.
Ooh. I like this more than is it called Sprinter?
No, it's not Sprinter. That's the name of the song. It's
it's not Sprinter.
I can't remember, but it's an album about Dave and Central C turning 25. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh wait, Split Decision.
I'm
like, we did review that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So I'm like, we should know.
But you were upset that we were reviewing it. I remember that.
and that has less songs than this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Long story short, 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Very pleased with this project.
Okay. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think that production's fantastic. We went over it multiple times. I feel like we gave the lyrics short shrift because there's even, some things on Red Budden where he was like, there's this one part that I totally loved where he was talking. First of all, he loves to like pull, for whatever reason, Drake's likes to pull a rhyme very long. Like multiple, 6, 7, 8 bars, right? Where he goes from segregation, meditation, medication, revelation, demonstration, vegetation, hesitation, vaccination. Where he's like, yo, I will fucking force a few shots like a vaccination. Fuck, like that, just even lines like that. He was very much strong. He's going for a lot of similes, and this is probably the most dense a Drake album has been lyrically in a while. In a very long time.
Easily.
So yeah, like we could this podcast could be like 2 hours straight up just looking at the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I think that the lyrics super strong. This is maybe Drake's best ever rapping. The production very interesting, very unique for Drake. I like the angelic voices in a lot of different ways. I like the idea that the production is minimalist.
Yes.
That's really interesting too. I think that the cohesion is very high. My biggest drawback is that line about the white and black America thing, because I'm like, this guy does not there's so many things that Drake does understand about life today, like a lot, I would say.
Yeah.
The white and black America thing, you're still not gripping that properly. I don't think you don't understand that. You're not grabbing that properly. And I think that there's a little bit, sometimes Drake will misstep like that.
Yes.
Right? And there's sometimes like a couple of times where I feel like he is just like slowing down the song too much when he raps and like things are not rhyming properly. But for the vast majority of the time, it's crisp, right? When you got Drake bragging about, I got two Virgil. This is a story about my brother where he's like, I got two Virgil whips, right? 2 Virgil Mercedes
Benzes, yeah.
Yeah. Only one of those actually exists. The one that's designed by Virgil, but Drake did pose inside of one of the cars, right? Like he was part of the promo for it. So even flexes like that, like Drake is doing so many things correct that I am genuinely shocked by. I'm genuinely shocked because
didn't see coming.
I was getting to the point where I'm like, I'm no longer expecting Drake to be able to drop a good album. Right? Good songs? Sure. But a full project of things that are good, I had lost hope.
You didn't like, you liked her loss though.
Huh?
You liked her loss though.
I did, but that was...
And you like Honestly Nevermind.
I was above average on that. But the idea of like, oh, Drake's going to drop something good, like 8 out of 10, 7, 8, 9 out of 10, I was out. I didn't think that it was going to be possible anymore.
I'm happy.
So I'm back in.
No, I'm happy we made it here because I do feel like I said this maybe on the Her Loss or maybe it was Nevermind. One of those reviews, I said that Drake, the rapper Drake, is still in there.
Yeah, we did say that. Her Loss. We were talking about.
I was like, he's still in there. He does do some things that we don't like all the time. Yeah, but he's still in there. So I'm happy we got this. And again, this is probably one of the few times that the review is longer than the project. Yeah. So we're happy that y'all stayed with us.
But it's Drake.
It's Drake. So you guys have to stay. Have to hear what we have to say. Last thing I want to say is I want to see who Drake will collaborate with going forward. If he's going to do more of this sound. I think J. Cole is the obvious choice here, but if he's going to do more of this sound, the opportunities are endless of who he can collab with. So
where's the Kendrick collab? Are they just not friends? I don't feel like that.
Where have you been? What?
Bury the hatchet, bruh?
There's no Kendrick collab.
Bury the hatchet.
Short story short, there's no Kendrick collab.
Bury the hatchet. It's been years.
Every time Kendrick gets on a song, especially with Baby Keem, he comes at Drake, and that has not changed. So I don't know.
You should do a song together.
They don't want to.
but that's the thing.
They don't like each other.
But that's why you should do it. No, I feel like if they did like a...
They're not gonna have a Drake Meek Mill moment because they're not Drake and Meek Mill.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need more Kendrick, bro.
And I told you, they
have good songs together though.
Every
song that they've done together has been amazing.
Even when Kendrick was on Take Care.
Yeah.
But
Fucking Problems?
That too. I just don't, you know what it is? I said before, it's the Drake and Kendrick going against each other raises Kendrick. Kendrick has to stay on that hill. If he gets off that hill and is buddy with Drake, it will be over. So he's not doing that.
We're almost 40. People are almost 40. Like, why are we beefing? You know?
You know what it's like? It's like when a player falls in the rankings. Yeah. Kendrick will fall in the rankings so fast if he gets buddy with. I'm telling you, it's how the world works. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think my biggest thing is like, bro, we're talking like these are now all-time talents in the genre. Drake is like top 10. Kendrick Lamar. The gentleman. I think Kendrick Lamar probably ranks higher than Drake.
For a lot of people, yeah.
But so I'm just like, KD and Steph teamed up, right? LeBron and D-Wade teamed up.
You know how I look at it, and this is kind of where I think it is. Yeah. The original New York Big Three of Biggie, Jay, and Nas. Yeah. For a large part of their career, Jay and Nas
did not team up.
It was Jay and Biggie teaming up. This is just a lot like that, And eventually, Jay and Nas got together, but there was years where we kept making that joke of every time Nas drops, either Jay or B drops, and all that kind of shit. So right now, we're just in that moment where Jay and Nas, Kendrick and Drake, are not together right now. Okay. Fingers crossed for the future. But listen, stay with us until they do, okay? Because when they do, we'll be talking about it.
Absolutely.
On the Album Mode podcast. For everyone who's made it to the end, you guys know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Of course, follow us on all your podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, of course, our new favorite, Amazon Podcasts. Find us on YouTube at Album Mode. We got videos for you guys every single week. Follow us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod on TikTok, at Album Mode Pod on Twitter, at Album Mode Pod on Instagram. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later, people.